This is the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Coming up.
People still bring their own fruits to the distilleries, and you bring your own wood, and it's all done in still very traditional manner.
The synagogue has been renovated by the Jewish community. It was built in 1913. We are also part of the root of European Jewish heritage.
I'm wearing the lovely Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition polo shirt from Lithuania. My jeans are from China. And my coat is from a Japanese retailer.
Next time, choose better.
So sit back and enjoy the trip with David Harris and Mark Gordon.
So here's a quiz question for you, Mark. Where's the European Capital of Culture in 2026?
It's in Finland and it's a place called Oulu.
No, we're in a car and we're on our way there right now.
You will find there are in fact two European capitals of culture every year. One of them is where we're heading and the other one is in Oulu in Finland.
Ooh, who's been doing that Oulu Google search?
Well, I was going to use that as a quiz question. Where's the European capital of culture other than the place we're heading? But I'll have to come up with a new one now.
Smarty pants. So where are we going? Oh, there's a signpost telling us.
It says Bratislava and Trenčín.
Did you know about Trenčín before we were reached out to by the lovely, lovely people at Slovakia Travel?
I may have seen it in European football results, but other than that, I couldn't have pinned it on a map.
One of the reasons that we are in Slovakia is because of new airline routes being launched.
There should be. We already have a new route direct to Bratislava from Tel Aviv with Wizz Airlines, and in the next few months we think, but we cannot confirm 100%, that there will be new routes to Bratislava with an Israeli airline, and on top of that, seasonal routes to Piešťany and Poprad.
That's all, of course, depending on those wonderful events in the Middle East.
Correct. Everything is subject to last minute change, last minute revision, 2 weeks cancellation at no week's notice, etc.
But we're very happy to receive your refunds.
Amen.
We are very excited to be heading into northwestern Slovakia. It's a very narrow country from top to bottom, from north to south, and it's considerably wider from east to west. So we're heading into the top left-hand corner, very close to the border with Czechia.
It's a beautiful country with mountain regions, skiing, wines, excellent cuisine, and they do have their fair share of castles.
So hopefully we'll go and look at least one, if not two of those during this podcast. And we might also give you a little bit more of a story of Central European Jewish history. It's something that we like to do on the podcast. It's something we've done over the years. So we'll bring you a bit of the Jewish story of this region.
Which gives me an idea for a question now that we're talking about castles.
Go for it.
According to legend, how long did it take prisoners to dig the famous well at Trenčín Castle? And I'm going to give you a multiple choice option here. A year, 3 years, or 12 years?
The answer at the end of the pod.
This is the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod, or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
Hi, my name is Zuzana Epperson and I work as a managing director for the local tourism organization called Považie region.
Where does that region cover exactly?
That's a very good question. So the region covers the city of Trenčín, the city of Nové Mesto, and then a few other smaller towns around, quite a few castles actually. And it's called Považie because there is the longest river that runs through Slovakia. It's called Váh, and that's a big part of this region. So that's why it's called Považie region, which means basically region surrounding the river.
Do people come to this region for the towns and castles or for the countryside?
I would say both, because there are 7 castles in this region and they are strategically placed along the river but on the rocks and hills of the surrounding mountains. So you can always connect it with a small nature hike and then you go get to see the castle and so on. So I would say it's both.
We're sitting in Trenčín in the Elizabeth Hotel. What is there to do in Trenčín?
Trenčín is dominated by one of the largest castles in Slovakia, so you can definitely come and go walk up. It's quite a walk uphill to get to the castle, so you can walk uphill and see the castles. Currently, there are also some exhibition of foreign artists that's linked to the cultural project Trenčín 2026. Besides that, the Trenčín itself has a nice historical center. There are really nice cafe roasting places or local brewery that you can also taste. The river Váh that runs through Trenčín, along the river Váh there is a cycling path, so in warmer months that's a really popular things to do because you can cycle for almost 100 kilometers either way and get to some other interesting destinations.
David, you asked the next question. I'm going to the brewery.
When we were walking up towards the castle, you took us through an alley and you pointed to a street sign name. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about why there is a Roman name on the street.
Mm-hmm. So that was the street Marcus Aurelius, and Marcus Aurelius actually came here with his soldiers and had a big encampment around the river Váh and wrote actually some of his memoirs here, and that was in around 170 AC. And one of the note from the times that we have is the inscription on the rock that is behind the Hotel Elizabeth, and it's right beneath the castle, and it basically says that Roman legions been here.
Down on dry land, away from the castle, coming back down, what else is there to see in the city?
There is also a quite special synagogue, so it's a Art Nouveau synagogue. Many architectural monuments in this town and also nearby towns are in Art Nouveau style, and the synagogue is a perfect example that kind of combines these two styles. It's really nicely decorated and has been newly consecrated last year, so that's another thing that the visitor can visit. Also, there is the watchtower that we didn't get to go to, but with a really nice view also. It requires some steps going up.
Is that the one next to the synagogue? I saw a tower that people run.
Yes, that's the one, exactly. And also for more or outdoor lovers, there is also the beautiful large park that's right next to the castle with trails for mountain biking, but also very popular for running. There is also ropes course out there, so it's a really nice place to kind of visit also with kids and with plenty to do.
Talk to us about food.
This region, it's also very popular with, I will start with alcohol. There are many orchards around here, and there's a big tradition of producing fruit distilleries like Slivovica. If you probably, as you come from, you will encounter this for sure.
What was that noise?
That noise was wow. I've been addicted to Slivovica since I was, when it was illegal for me as a young person.
I see. Well, Slivovica is a big part of culture here. So it's a liquor made from plums, but you can also distill from pears and apples. And this whole region has a really strong tradition. People still bring their own fruits to the distilleries, and they kind of, even you bring your own wood, and it's all done in still very traditional manner, and really cool to see also. It's kind of old time thing. So that's one thing that you definitely will get to taste at some point in the region. Also for food, where we are right now at Hotel Elizabeth has a fantastic cuisine. There is this big trend also, not just in Hotel Elizabeth, but in general, to start using more and more local produces and not to fetch your food from that far away. So as possible, they try to do that. Also, their chef has 2 chapeau gold medal, so he's really trained in a fine cuisine, and they're trying to find this connection between food and cuisine that's open to everybody also, but also has the higher quality standard and quality. So definitely invite people to come here. And then, as I mentioned, the local brewery where they make their own beer and have more like pub food with steaks, and also local halushki, which is a national dish, and it's kind of more heavier and goes well with beer.
If people are coming from overseas, how do they get to the region?
To come to Trenčín, the best way, once you are in Bratislava, where you can fly, and you fly either to Bratislava or you fly nearby to Vienna. Vienna is only half an hour from Bratislava by car. From Bratislava, you can take a train, that it's a direct train and takes about an hour. So it's very easy to get to Trenčín. So another way to get here is to fly to Piešťany in the season. And then from Piešťany, there is a direct train that goes to Trenčín, and that's maybe 20 minutes. It's a really nice way to travel. You get to see a lot of nice countryside.
What's a website where people can find out more?
It's považiaregion.sk, where you will find more about what is it to do here. Also, we are planning to have there what we call e-shop for experiences, where you can find different things that to do in the region and just even order them directly through the website. There will be a blog about local people who are involved in tourism or just kind of fun and interesting people in the region.
Mark, can you spell that?
I was going to say, David, can you spell that?
And that website again, you're going to love this. The first part of it is region, Region, and the second part is Povazie, Povazie.ske.
Some really wonderful food has arrived in front of us, so we'll catch up with you again soon.
Susanna, thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.
The Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition.
It's a very nice wine to pair with food, but you can also drink it just on its own, and that we will do just now.
It's such a pleasure meeting an entire crew that are so smiley, so happy, and so invested in the work that they do.
Welcome in Würzburg, and it's time to let the party begin.
From Jerusalem to just about everywhere, the Jerusalem Post podcast travel edition.
My name is Olga Hodalova. I am the head of the local Jewish community and co-chair of the Slovak Union of Jewish Communities. This synagogue has been renovated by the Jewish community. It was built in 1913. During the first Slovak state, it was damaged a lot.
Chodili tu na koňoch členovia Hlinkovej gardy.
Hlinka Guard rode on horses inside and destroyed what they could. After the war, those who survived, from about 2,000 Jewish people, those who survived, they gave funds to renovate the synagogue. It was newly consecrated in September 1948, and at that time there was also the list of the victims of the Holocaust, where there is about 1,600 names. You can see the names on the left and on the right wall at the entrance. In 1953 it was taken by the state. There was a warehouse for textiles. To destroy it again. And in 1970s it was the most difficult time, and they started redoing it for a gallery. So they painted it white so that pictures, the paintings could just, be visible. They also painted the facade. They threw away Aroškové štvere, destroyed the acoustics, so they removed the Jewish symbols. Yeah, the synagogue was destroyed by rains and the water from the bottom, from the ground. And in such a bad condition, we just restituted it after 1989. That time there was only like a local Jewish community in Trenčín. We didn't have any legal status. In 2010, the Jewish community was renewed also legally. And nowadays there's about 60 members of the Jewish community. And next door there's the former Jewish school. So this is like a local Jewish suburb. And they removed a few of containers of white plaster that was on the walls. Underneath there were the fragments of the original painting. The only thing that was not painted white was the dome and the original chandelier. The dome was in bad conditions, was powdered. We decided to renovate the synagogue to the original conditions, what it looked when it was built.
You had photographs from how it used to be, that you knew how to renovate it?
We have one picture that you can see here in the exposition, and one photograph that is in Budapest. Yeah, the architectural research has shown us how the synagogue looked like originally. For 50 years it was not seen by anyone.
Can you tell us about the current community, maybe the history of the last 10 years or so?
Yeah, well, the deciding role to renew the Jewish community was the synagogue. That time we had only 24 survivors of the Holocaust here. My father was the head of the community of Jewish who were not religiously oriented. This community, together with the Jewish community, helped to renovate the synagogue after the war. In 2010, when we were passing by the synagogue, we decided to renovate it because we felt like it is needed. Our Jewish community is one of 12 Jewish communities in Slovakia. We also managed a large Jewish cemetery here in Trenčín. We renovated also the former Jewish school. Practically the whole Jewish heritage we got back in bad conditions.
How often does the community meet? Do you have regular services here?
We have got our own rabbi called Michailo Kapustin, who is the reformist rabbin. We celebrate the holidays. We also organize cultural events. This is also because of the size of the local community, because it would not be used really to the full potential. For this year, we have planned a few conferences also, one of them on the Jewish heritage. We are also part of the root of European Jewish heritage.
We have to go because we're late for another appointment, so we're going to say a very big thank you. It is a beautiful synagogue, and we're just going to spend a few seconds taking some photographs before we are being taken somewhere else.
Thank you very much.
The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
They would always say he has a sword in one hand and a marriage contract in the other.
Sancocho is made only with 3 ingredients: ñame, culantro, and also with chicken.
I had the hot stone massage. Either that or I left a couple of empanadas on my back.
Come for the destination and stay for the banter. The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
Yeah, hello, my name is Stanislav Krajci, and now I'm the CEO of the project Trenčín 26 European Capital of the Culture.
What does that mean? What is a European Capital of Culture?
It's a type of the competition that the European Commission actually delivering more than now 40 years. It's a big responsibility and legacy in once, and it means that it's a kind of the celebration of European identity, of course in different countries. Almost every year there is always 2 cities sharing the title. In this year we are sharing this title with Finnish city Oulu.
Why was Trenčín picked for European Capital of Culture out of all the cities in Slovakia?
Yes, we're trying to combine the best from 2 topics. We are very kind of romantic old city, but we combine with totally contemporary art and music. For example, the city is hosting 2 biggest music festivals in Slovakia. So it's kind of good mixture and combination of working with the cultural heritage, but still exploring the value of the contemporary art, music and values. And also it means that in the competition we have 2 key elements. One was the co-creation, so it means that we're trying to involve the audience not only as an audience but also as a part of the creative process, part of the implementation. And second topic was the placemaking, which we can somehow describe as how to work with the value of the public space and cultural heritage.
We're heading towards the end of the first quarter of 2026. People thinking about coming here over the next 3 quarters of the year, what can they expect to see, to do, to participate in?
We're offering as a very nice historical area, completely reconstructed. Very nice, not only the city but the region. There is lots of stuff what you can do in our region. The region is mixture of the folk history, also a lot of contemporary stuff, for example. But we also have very historical background of spa cities around the Trenčín, for example. But lots of mountains around because we are in the beginning of the mountains of Karpaty. It's a nice combination of cultural heritage and the nature in very nice distance, because you can cover in maybe 1 week lots of stuff around Trenčín.
A large proportion of our audience are Jewish. We've been to the synagogue here in Trenčín. what events are taking place of Jewish interest during the year's events?
Last year we actually we opened the Jewish Artistic Biennale. So of course this year we will not participate because of the Biennale. So probably you can looking for the year 27. But this year we will much more focusing for the cultural heritage conferences and exploring much more like documentary events and stuff around the present of the Jewish community in Trenčín and the area of Trenčín region.
If people are coming to Trenčín, are there plenty of hotel rooms? Are there plenty of places to stay?
Not that much, but we have some, to be honest. But we are close of one of the biggest spa city here. It's a Trenčanské Teplice city, and of course that there are spa cities. There is lots of accommodation, but of course you can find a very nice, actually historical one, Hotel Elizabeth, which is taking place beneath the castle. And behind this hotel you can find the Roma inscription, one of the most important cultural heritage memories in our city.
If people want to know more details, website address, please.
Yes, it's a Trenčín26.eu.
Thank you very much indeed, and wishing you much success for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, and I hope that I awaken curiosity, because this is our title.
You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast, Travel Edition. We've just crossed the road from the synagogue and we've come to a new space which is part of the European Capital of Culture that Trenčín has been blessed with in 2026, and we're with two women who are going to explain why the space is here, what it's doing and what they hope to achieve to make us all be a little bit more careful when it comes to clothing. So could you please introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Zuzana Bobikova from the Slovak Fashion Council, from the project Laboratory of Sustainable Fashion for Trenčín, European Capital of Culture.
Hello, I'm Vivian Babicova and I'm the art director of this project.
What goes on in this container that's converted into this exhibition?
Slovak Fashion Council created a project called LUMO, what is the abbreviation of the name Laboratórium udržateľnej módy, so the Laboratory of Sustainable Fashion. For the main year of Trenčín 2026, we created a project where we focus on sustainability in the fashion industry. This will be brought to the public through many different variations of activities. The hub, so the physical space that we have created here in the center of Trenčín, has three functions. The first one is that we present sustainable, local, contemporary fashion design in a window gallery. So it is visible 24/7 for everyone, and there we introduce local designers and their work. The second function is a workshop where we have professional sewing machines, and we will create or offer to the public many formats of workshop for upcycling and for repairing. And the third function is community building, because for Trenčín is very important and very interesting the long tradition and connection in the fashion industry, because fashion and textile production has long roots. It's more than 100 years here in the region, and as a result, although the factories are already closed today, the legacy is that many of the people walking on the street, they know the value of fashion, they know the craft, and they have very good and strong interest in fashion and in clothing.
We wanted to also lead them towards sustainability, because this is the reality of these days, that the factories are closed, but the craft can still live on, and we would like to teach them how to repair their clothing, how to maintain it in sustainable ways, and how to learn the craft, how to learn the textile techniques and so on.
Just to give a description of what I'm wearing. Thank you. I'm wearing the lovely Jerusalem Post podcast Travel Edition polo shirt, which I got from an online company in Lithuania. My jeans are from China, and my coat is from Uniqlo, which is a Japanese retailer. How much of that is fast fashion, and what could I do to turn it into slow fashion in the future if I was to buy all of this again?
I really wouldn't buy all that again.
Maybe just wear it as long as you can, and that's enough for sustainability for you.
Next time, choose better.
So how do you make the choice? How do you make the decision? Beyond what you're trying to do in this town, we've got thousands of listeners. What advice would you give to our listeners?
It's very important to really think about what you need. And the spontaneous and impulsive shopping is the kind of attitude that is not very healthy for fashion and for the environment. So this is where it starts, that we really think about what we need. Of course, fashion offers many opportunities, many options, many trends, and so on. I don't say that you cannot wear something that is contemporary or comes from the catwalk shows. Of course you can, but decide really wisely. Think about the origin of the piece, think about the material, think about how you will use it, whether you will wear it just once, or even if you will wear it once, if maybe your daughter can wear it in 20 years. And then also think about how you will take care of each of your pieces so that you make the life cycle as long as possible. And then once you don't need it anymore, it doesn't fit you, think about what is the next step, what will be the second life of each piece that you have.
Perhaps this is a contentious, difficult question, but doesn't the fashion industry absolutely hate you because they want us to buy as much as possible, and you're saying, whoa, let's put the brakes on this?
I don't think so. I think that they would like to do it as we do it, and they would like to also like get better. This is the future. So yeah, they would like to sell the most as they can, but the future is in sustainable ways.
In fashion, we can think about the fact that it's very complex. The sites that are included in the processes are very complex. So it's not only about sourcing and production and designing. It's also about logistics, about environment, it's about marketing, about business. The multi-complex situation in the industry creates very strong pressure on the producers, on the creators, on the consumers. So we have to find the balance and really focus on the main goals that we see, because it is possible. It is possible. Of course, we have to change it and put it on the head right now, because the overconsumption or even overproduction is lowering the quality of the garments, and that is what is creating the problem.
If our listeners are in Trenčín during 2026 for the European Capital of Culture, how can they participate with events that you're putting on in the year?
They surely could look up our program for the next months and weeks, and they can participate by just like walk in. They could repair their clothing, they can learn some new techniques, they can visit our discussions and other programs.
Is there a website, social media where people can find out more, even if they're not coming?
You can search on the Trenčín website for our program, but also on our own website, the slovakfashioncouncil.sk, and our socials, mainly Instagram and Facebook, and there will be the program regularly updated, and we will bring every month something new.
Thank you very much for inviting us in. I'm off to go and buy some new trainers now.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Trenčín and Betkov fact file. The nearest international airport is Bratislava, which is about an hour away by car. Travellers from Israel can fly directly to Bratislava with Wizz and continue by rail or car to the Trenčín region. Bratislava is a hub for Wizz, Smartwings and Ryanair and can be accessed from major hubs in Europe. Trenčín is compact and easily explored on foot, with the castle towering above the historic centre. Regular trains connect the city to Bratislava, Žilina and the rest of Slovakia. Betkov is about 25 minutes away by car from Trenčín and is best reached by rental car or taxi. In Trenčín, boutique hotels and guest houses dominate the market. Hotel Elizabeth beneath the castle offers upscale comfort and fine dining. There are also budget-friendly short-term lets in the old town. Betkov is mainly a day trip destination with small guest houses and rural stays in the surrounding countryside. Slovakia uses the euro. As of February 2026, $100 buys roughly 90 euros, though exchange rates fluctuate. The region has a continental climate with warm summers and cold winters. Expect summer highs around 27 degrees Celsius, 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and winter temperatures around freezing. Spring and early autumn are ideal for walking and castle visits. Traditional Slovak cuisine is widely available, including dumplings, roast meats and hearty soups. Local cafes and wine bars line Trenchin's Old Town Square. Betskov offers rustic countryside restaurants near the castle. Jewish heritage sites exist in the region, but kosher dining is not available, so visitors should plan accordingly.
You're listening to the Jerusalem Post podcast, Travel Edition.
My name is Martin, and we stand near the Betskov Castle on the Old Jewish Cemetery, and my job is to manage and to maintain the castle.
Martin, what have you done? The castle is ruined.
Yeah, it's ruined, but I work here only 1 year. But
it's not your fault.
It's not my fault, but if you see the castle before, you would see it was more ruined. Now we do some reconstructions. So some reconstructions were done before, last year, and also this year we are doing.
Mark is really not being fair because the castle is absolutely stunning. This is not what I was expecting when I'd understood that there was a ruined castle. Whilst it's not complete, the walls are intact, right, all the way around?
The outside walls are intact, mostly, but inside of the castle, some of them are ruined.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the castle.
This castle is quite famous actually because it belonged to one of the most powerful lords in Kingdom of Hungary. It belonged to Stibor of Stiboric. He was Polish, but he served under the Hungarian king Sigismund, and he got this castle from the king in 1388 for his service.
There seem to be a lot of castles all over this region. Can you explain all these castles, why they were built in this particular, and they're all very high up as well?
In this region, specifically, it's because we are on the border of the kingdom. So that way is Morava, or the Czech Republic nowadays. The castles were built for the protection of the borders of Kingdom of Hungary here.
Why is there a Jewish cemetery literally a stone's throw from the castle?
This land was given to Jews, and it was outside of the city walls. It's near the castle, but it was not in the city, so it was on the edge of the city of Betskov. So that's the reason. There was free land, and it was given to the Jewish people.
Were the Jews living near the castle, or were they further down at the bottom of the hill?
Certainly they lived in the town.
Let's go back a little bit. So we know that the earliest stones, or the earliest people buried here in this upper part of the cemetery, are from the 1670s. But the Jewish community, you think, was probably here before that, as opposed to other places that we've come across in Slovakia, where it's a much later entry of Jewish people into the cities.
We really don't know. We don't have any sources which would claim that the Jews were here before 17th century, but it's possible. Maybe it's possible, but the communities, if they existed, was really small.
Joking aside, I can see that the castle was stunning and very impressive. How was it ruined in the end? What led to its destruction?
The main reason of the state of the castle that it is ruined is the fire in 18th century. No one wanted to spend money and energy to rebuild it, so then it ended like this.
So your job, and you say you've been in the job for a year, so you haven't been responsible for destroying Ella, rather for building it back up, is to maintain and beautify the castle. But you also have a responsibility towards this cemetery that we're in.
Yes, we have some responsibility for the cemetery. Me and my colleague are responsible for cutting grass at least twice a year, so it's not overgrown.
Thank you very much indeed for looking after the cemetery. It's very important for Jewish people to know, especially where there isn't a community, that people who are local, who are not Jewish, are helping to maintain.
As we were walking around, you were telling us the story of a slightly more famous resident of the area. Can you tell our listeners who that was?
Many famous people were born in Nové Mesto nad Váhom, but it's just interesting information because Eugen Wolstein was born in Nové Mesto nad Váhom, which is near the Betskov. It's 6 kilometers maybe this way, and he was born there. He moved to Israel before the Second World War, and he became a doctor in Israel. And when the Adolf Eichmann was captured in Argentina and transported to Israel, and he was trialed there, Eugen Wolstein was his personal doctor. He was responsible for his health during the trial.
Martin, thank you very much indeed for talking to us today.
You are mostly welcome. Thank you too.
Thank you. David and I did a little bit of research on the way. I think the story of the community of Beckov is reasonably similar to other communities in the area. In Slovakia, life became more difficult after the National Socialists came to power. In Germany, there were ethnic Germans in the area, and then you had the change to the Slovak Republic, the Hlinka Guard, who came and started to deport people in 1942. And by the end of 1942, the town, the village, was pretty much free of all Jews. We found some witness reports from somebody who was born here in 1929, who was here, I think, until 1949, and the community was pretty much wiped out.
Yeah, that's as far as we know. We don't know numbers. You can find names if you research online. Obviously, places like Yad Vashem do have those types of details. It's another community in Slovakia that was wiped out. 800 cemeteries around Slovakia. And just going back to Martin and his colleagues, they come out here. This is not easy terrain. We're on a very steep hill. It's windy. Probably in winter it's freezing cold. And twice a year they come here to this cemetery to which they have no emotional connection, and they cut the grass and make sure that it's fitting place for people to rest.
To end on a positive note, we are 15-20 minutes from Trenchin, and there is an active community in Trenchin. The synagogue in Trenchin that we mentioned earlier. Not everything in Slovakia is just a graveyard.
Now, you might be wondering how to get here. Well, you've already heard the fact file, but now we're going to bring you some really interesting news from Bratislava itself after this. The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
White sausage, which we eat for breakfast, with a Weiss beer and a sweet mustard and pretzel.
If your test looks like that, you are in a lot of trouble.
The toilet is open to the public for viewing only.
From Jerusalem to just about everywhere, the Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
We're on a balcony.
A very nice balcony with a very big window.
Very unusual views, though. It's not your standard, I don't know, Bratislava view or something like that.
But it could become a very familiar view very, very soon.
Ooh, well done. More on the connection to Israel in a minute. But first of all, please can you introduce yourself, sir, to our listeners?
My name is Daniel, and I work at the airport for the third year, and I'm responsible for route development, so connecting Bratislava with more and more destinations in Europe and Israel and other countries too.
We'll talk a bit more about route development in a minute. Let's start with this building and this airport. Can you tell us the history of the airport?
Airport here on this place was built after the Second World War in 47-48, and the commercial operation started in 1951. But this building we are in is pretty new. It was built in 2012, and from this moment we have opened the door for more travelers to come through Bratislava Airport. So the capacity of this new terminal is 5 million passengers.
How does that 5 million divide up? Where do people fly to? When are the busy times?
With a new base of Wizz Air, the things are changing dramatically, but the most popular destinations for the regular traffic are European metropolises like London, Rome, Barcelona, and for the holiday destination, Turkey is number one country. Number one destination in terms of number of travelers from Bratislava is Antalya.
Wizz Air have a lot of flights around this area going to Vienna. Some of them are coming here. What's the story behind that?
Wizz Air is a Hungarian-based company, and we are in touch with them for a long time. Before COVID, they have 7-8 routes from here, mainly to Eastern Europe. But then after COVID, situation was a bit complicated. They historically operate the London and Skopje routes. But last year, they've changed the strategy, and they decided to focus more on the Central and Eastern Europe. And we were matching to this strategy. So they've decided to open a base here in Bratislava. They started with 2 based aircrafts in November last year. In January they have added the 3rd one, and in March they are adding the 4th one, so they are becoming very important player on Bratislava. And what's behind? It's change of their strategy, and it's not only Wizz Air but also other carriers that are suffering from high costs at Vienna airport, and here in Bratislava they are finding good conditions for long-term development. So we are happy to have them here.
So where does Israel fit into this puzzle?
Formerly, before I came here, I worked in the hospitality industry, and I monitored there is a lot of Israelis traveling without the direct connection, so they travel to Slovakia via Vienna or other airports. So I think opening of the route to Tel Aviv will strengthen this relations. And also there is increasing demand on the other side of the route. So we see also demand of Slovak traveling to Israel for pilgrimage, but of course it will be more incoming route for us. So we expect more Israelis coming to Bratislava and Slovakia than outgoing from Slovakia. But I see this as a route with very good potential.
When Israeli listeners and other listeners come to Bratislava, how easy is it to access Slovakia from here?
This is one of the positive points of the airport in Bratislava. We are located only 9 kilometers from the city center of Bratislava. So if someone is coming to Bratislava for a short city break, it takes 15 minutes to get to the city center. And additionally, we are located like 5 minutes from the highway exit that is connecting us with rest of Slovakia. So you are 1 hour in Trenčín. And of course also to neighboring countries like Austria, Hungary. Additionally, we have a direct public connection to the train station from where you can take a train to Prague, Budapest, Vienna or rest of Slovakia.
What about North America? A lot of our listeners are in the United States, in Canada, and probably don't know about the beauty of Slovakia. What are the chances of A, a direct flight, or B, something else as an alternative?
Yeah, this is a dream, of course. Last winter we got the permission to operate E-category aircraft, so we are able to handle the wide bodies, but it will need more marketing support for Slovakia as an attractive destination to get the direct connection to overseas. But what is our next task is to connect Bratislava with main European hub to enable our catchment area to travel with one stop to America, to overseas destinations, and vice versa, to enable Americans to travel to Bratislava, let's say via Amsterdam.
Is it going to be one hub, or you're looking to connect to several, or are we now going into business secrets? There's a big smile on Daniel's face.
Well, when we start with the first one, that's perfect, but I see 2 or 3 that are developing relatively positively, so let's see what will be in the future.
Daniel, thank you very much for bringing us into the heart of this airport and telling us all your secrets.
Thank you very much, and enjoy your time here in Bratislava.
The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition.
We've only sampled a little part of the ship. We haven't been to the kids club. We haven't been to the gym.
A little chutzpah, a lot of curiosity. The Jerusalem Post Podcast Travel Edition. What a great day.
Yes, excellent. And isn't that good news about flights between Bratislava and Tel Aviv?
It really is. And what you and I have both seen over the time that we've been doing this, as soon as you open up a route, the planes are full.
It's Field of Dreams. You build it and they will come.
Somebody who's going to be heading in the other direction to encourage Israelis to come to Slovakia is sitting with us. Loretta Pinke, right?
Yes, hello. How are you?
We're fine. We've spent an amazing day with you, and now it's your chance to tell our listeners what they can really enjoy, experience when they visit your beautiful country.
Well, I think what makes Slovakia beautiful is its authentic, beautiful nature and also the peaceful environment that offers Slovakia.
We've been out today to Trenčín and Betkov. That's a little taste of what there is in Slovakia. We're now in Bratislava. If you go back 2.5 years through our back catalogue, you'll find David and I in Bratislava. Tell us a little bit more about Bratislava today. What's open, what's changed in the last 2.5 years? What can our listeners look forward to when they land in Bratislava?
I think you covered it in your previous article on Bratislava, that it's a really beautiful city, that it's manageable in 2 or 3 days. So it's a beautiful weekend getaway destination. But I think Slovakia can offer a lot more besides Bratislava, because Slovakia is not a big country. So everything is quite approachable within few hours of a car ride. And what makes Slovakia beautiful is the variety of landscape, culture, cultural heritage, UNESCO heritage, Jewish heritage, nature. So I think every person can find something here that would be interesting for them to visit.
And our waiter has arrived at the table. He is called Marian. Marian has just brought in a gin and tonic filled with beautifully carved cucumbers and with some, is that rosemary on the top?
I believe yes.
Looks more like a salad.
Mark has his, you're drinking coffee?
Yes.
With lots of alcohol.
A coffee cocktail.
And for me, it's a cosmopolitan. And maybe that's actually a really good word. Cosmopolitan certainly explains Bratislava, but at the same time as having that city experience, the rich mix, you can also head out into some villages that show you an older story, a historic story of the country.
Slovakia offers a really big variety of culture and history going back to medieval ages. You can find a lot of beautiful small towns in Slovakia which has a beautiful history, either mining or different aspects. I really think it depends on who is looking for a, let's call it, gateway trip to Slovakia, because if you are a solo traveler or you are coming as a couple or as a family with kids, every group finds its target. If you're coming in summertime, you can go hiking in, for example, in the high Tatras, also in the low Tatras. If you're coming in wintertime, you can do winter sport activities as skiing. Also, if you are more into water sports, you can either do aqua parks, or we have beautiful thermal spas, which I think might be interesting for Israeli people, as we know that they like spa treatments.
When we were in Trenčín, we were talking about the European capital of culture. A couple of times today we've mentioned another city that was the capital of culture, Košice. Tell us a little bit about Košice.
Košice is the second biggest city in Slovakia. It's located in the eastern part of Slovakia, which will be very easily approachable once the flights from Tel Aviv to Poprad are available. It's a beautiful city with a very rich history, surrounded by beautiful nature and also wine routes.
Before we let you go, because it's late at night and obviously we've got to finish on some alcohol, you're about to head to Israel to pass all of these amazing messages on about this country. How are you feeling?
I'm very excited and I'm really looking forward to this, let's call it, chapter of my life. I think meeting you two guys, it's a really blessing, because you're really bringing me the soul of Israel here to Slovakia, and I'm even more eager to go and move to your country.
I love her. She's amazing.
I think she's a little unwell if she thinks that we're encouraging. No, it's a great country to come to, and we're looking forward to you joining us. And we're looking forward to seeing more of Slovakia.
Absolutely. So look out for an upcoming podcast. We're going to say thank you to Loretta, and after this break, we'll come back to you with the thank yous and the answer to the quiz question. Loretta, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, this is David Harris from the Jerusalem Post podcast Travel Edition. Find us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at MarkDavidPod, or mail us at markdavidpod@gmail.com.
What a very lovely cocktail.
Oh, what a very lovely Loretta.
Yes, and all the other people we met on this little trip today. Last impressions of arriving in Bratislava and going to Trenčín and going to Beckov.
Fabulous part of the country. The short time that we've been in Bratislava, we went shopping, and what's fab is that the shopping centre is literally next to, in fact on either side of, the Sheraton Hotel in which we're staying.
Underneath?
Yes, as well. It's enormous.
Yes. We thought we got to the end of it and then looked around the corner and it just carried on and on and on.
And I'm not going to tell you which shop or shops Mark saw, but he got very excited.
I have my €7 gilet on.
And as we were leaving, he saw another shop that he really likes, but we just didn't have time because we wanted to bring you a little bit more of the podcast.
I suppose we should say a few thank yous. Firstly, and most importantly, to Loretta Pinke, who you just heard from.
Loretta, we wish you so much luck in dealing with Israel.
And thank you for organising this trip.
Moving on to all the folks at Trenchin who are dealing with the city on a year-by-year basis, people like Susanna, but also all of the team who are dealing with this year of culture.
And to the wonderful Martin at Betskov, who not only is building a castle, but looking after that very, very old graveyard. People like him who are looking after these old Jewish graveyards have a place in heaven.
And to Daniel, who's going to be dealing with lots and lots and lots of Israeli passengers landing and taking off from his airport in Bratislava. We always say this, if you've enjoyed the podcast, which obviously you have, share, like, follow.
markdavidpod@gmail.com. Our social media handle is @markdavidpod, or we're sometimes known as Mark and David's Travels.
So, Mark.
So, David.
Can you please fill us in on the answer to the quiz question?
I asked you a question about Trenchin Castle.
Trenchin, you got it right this time.
I've spent all day going Trenchin, Bekov, Betskov, Beshkov. Yeah, Trenchin.
We don't do languages. The only languages we do are sort of curse words.
Yeah, we've got quite a tour ahead of us here. We're going to be doing 3 countries in 8 days, so we're going to have to change accent and language multiple times. So I've started this tour by butchering one language.
So why don't you finish butchering it?
Okay, Trenchin Castle.
What about it?
It has a well, and I asked, how many years did it take to dig that well? Probably less than it took me to walk up to the top of Trenchin Castle.
Or to ask the question.
Is it 1 year, 3 years, or 12 years? The answer was 12.
We actually found out during our journeys today that the most recently opened tunnel in Slovakia, which runs an incredible 7+ kilometres or about 4.5 miles, took 30 years to build.
Where was that?
Oh, you were asleep or looking on your phone again.
Oh, was that Betskov Castle?
No, it's kind of Trenchin-y.
Oh, I was preparing the microphone and everything in those sheep-covered seats.
What?
Or getting my breath back.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you remember the seats that had like sheep covers on them? You know, recording in Trenchin, there was like metal chairs outside what should be a bar that was closed, and they were all covered in sheepskin.
Yeah, but this is about 2 hours before that.
No, this was at the top.
No.
Where are we?
Folks, we have to go.
Before we have to record this again, all the batteries run out.
So at some point in an upcoming podcast, we will bring you much more from this beautiful country, and hopefully we will bring you a whole lot more beautiful people.
Goodbye, everybody.
Cheerio.